next week. But before that, we're just going to learn how to write some of these things, given different information. So I'm just going to put a graph on my paper here. And I'm just going to go out 3 on each side. So that's my graph. If you want to put that graph on your notebook or not. If I have a point right there, what's that ordered pair? What's the ordered pair for this point right here? No. 1, 0. Okay? And what axis is that point on? The x-axis, and I know that because there's a number for the x and a 0 for my y. This would be my x-axis, this would be my y-axis. So this ordered pair is called your x-intercept. It is called your 0. It can be your root, or it can be a solution. All of those are the way to name that same exact ordered pair. When we graph polynomials, we are specifically going to call them zeros. Okay? So what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you the zeros, and you're going to write the equation. Okay, so we're going to work back. Okay? So what is going to happen is I'm going to give you a problem that looks like this. X equals 5, 6, 7. Okay? And so that is going to tell you that you have 3 zeros. You have 3 x-intercepts. The graph of this polynomial is going to cross your x-axis 3 times. That's what you need to think of when you see that. In other words, the ordered pairs would be 5, 0, 6, 0, and 7, 0. Those would be your ordered pairs, your points, for when I go to graph. Okay, those would be the points that I would put, that I would have to put my polynomial through. Now, we are going to take this information and we are going to write the equation. So when I write the equation, it's always going to be y equals, right? And this means, since I have 3 numbers up here, that means I'm going to have 3 binomials. I'm going to have 3 sets of ordered pairs here. Okay? And to get the first ordered pair, you're always going to have x and then the opposite of the number that you're given. So the opposite of 5 is -5, so I'm going to have x minus 5. Then I'm going to put my other set of parentheses, and here I'm going to have x and the opposite of 6, so x minus 6. And then the last set of parentheses would be the opposite of 7, so I get x minus 7. And I just wrote my equation for that graph. And from there, then now we're going to work into the process that we could be able to graph this from here. Okay? It should be, was what we were going to do on Friday. I was trying to make it an easy Friday, but had to change it around, so it's all right. Okay, there'll be little pieces that we'll add to it to make the difficulty a little bit harder. For one is this one. Okay, so if I have the ordered pairs the point, the x-intercept, -2, 0, and 1. Okay, if we're going to write this as polynomials, the first parenthesis, take the opposite of -2. So this would be x plus 2. Now, take the opposite of 0. Can you take the opposite of 0? No, so 0 is just 0. So how am I going to write that in my polynomial? Any ideas? What? Nope, can't put a 0. Did I put just a 2 here? Nope, I put an x. Each one of them has to have an x with it. It's just an x. And then the 1 would be x minus 1. Now, you will not see that written that way, because where should this x go? What? Not inside a parenthesis, it should go out in front of everything. So this will be written as x, and then x plus 2, x minus 1. That's the proper way to write that. So whenever you see a 0, that just means that you're just going to have an x. Because it wouldn't make sense to say x plus 0 or x minus 1. Or excuse me, not x minus 1, x minus 0. When you add nothing to an x, you're just going to be left with an x. So we don't write the 0 in there. Okay, number 3. Let's see if I can put it. We have x equals -5, -5, and 1. Yes. So this would be x. If we just write it out right now, this would be x plus 5, x plus 5, and x minus 1. Now, I hear some people saying, are we going to square this? What do you mean by that? Okay, there's 2 of these. So we are going to write that as x plus 5 squared, and then x minus 1. This is the appropriate way. You need the square there because what the square does, it affects your graph. We will be talking about how that affects your graph. It's called a multiplicity. And it affects your graph in different ways depending on what the number is there. If it's squared, cubed, fourth root, fifth root, etc. Okay? And so when we go to graph that has specific meaning. So make sure if one of your factors is doubled or maybe tripled or whatever, you are writing it in simplified form. This form right here is the correct answer, not the one above it. How's that seem? Easy? Maybe? Okay. So, number 4, x equals 1, -1, and -2. Somebody willing to tell me what this one would be? This polynomial would be written as? I'll help you out. It starts with an x. So what am I going to do with this one? -1, x plus 1, and x plus 2. Number 5, how are we going to write that out? Yep. So we have how many zeros? How many times am I going to touch my x-axis here? 4 times. And only 4 times. Okay? X equals -4 and 1. This would be the opposite of -4, x plus 4, x minus 1. Okay, I think we got the hang of those. What if I just said x equals 3, 3, and 3? How are you going to write that? Right, y equals x minus 3, because it's the opposite of 3, and then we're going to cube that. However, there's 10 questions you're going to do in your notes. So if you can use both pages, or some people are putting it on one page. It doesn't matter. It depends on how Figure right. I always put 2 pages there, but some people don't use the 2 pages. Okay, x equals 0, 0, 2, 3. X squared, because there's 2 zeros there, so that's an x squared. The next parenthesis would be, and the last one would be x minus 3. Does it make sense? Does it seem too easy? Maybe. Maybe it seems hard. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to add 2 more questions. So number 9. 0, 4, and 1/2. Okay, so putting a fraction involved. You should be able to do the first 2. The 0 is going to just be a x, and the 4 is going to be x minus 4. Now, you cannot put a fraction or a decimal in factored form. So you cannot put 0.5, you cannot put 1/2. You have to separate it out, okay? The denominator, the bottom number, always goes with your x. So 2x minus 1. All you do is take your bottom number, put it with your x, 2x minus 1. And so if you try one more, x equals, we'll just do 1/4 and negative 2/3. Both of them are fractions. So 1/4 is going to be 4x minus 1, and negative 2/3 will be 3x plus 2.